Hello, welcome to North American Traveler's Edge. Today we are talking about two powerful resources online for you to use in doing your travel planning when you're traveling abroad. Now, these resources are Canadian and American government resources out there, but anybody in the world can use them. So if you're from Europe or Australia or some of our other viewing areas, don't log out just yet. These are going to be useful to you too. So let's get right into it. To start, let's go ahead and just look at the two websites themselves, the landing pages. The Canadian website is travel.gc.ca. The Secretary of State, the US website, is travel.state.gov. The links for both will be in the video description below. Makes it easier, you can just click on that. All right, start with the Canadian website. We'll kind of jump in between both. So when you get here, you're just going to click on to Travel Advice and Advisories, and it's going to show you kind of the landing page once you get here. You will notice there are 4 different ratings. They're color-coded. Let's go to the Secretary of State website. When you're here going through this website, you're just going to go to country information and learn about your destination. Click through on that. And real quick, we're just going to give you one example so I can show you one thing here as far as the ratings go. Once you actually select your country, you will see again, you have a 4-tier rating system. So the rating systems mirror in the framework, but the ratings will actually differentiate between the two, which is why I highly recommend everybody just use both. If you're American, you're probably going to start with the US website. If you're Canadian, you probably start with the Canadian website, but then always reference the second. Now, one thing I like about the Canadian website more, when you're on this landing page, you don't have to click on a specific country to get valuable information. You can actually filter these, or sort these, I suppose, by level of risk. So you can basically not be looking at any of the countries that you're not going to be looking at, but if you're in the early planning stages and just want ideas of countries that might be safe in the areas that you're considering going to, you look at all these wonderful places in the world that are rated high as relatively safe, just normal safety precautions, and as well as the next level where you just need to basically have a little bit more precaution than the lower level. But both of these I would consider relatively safe to travel to. You just want to be cognizant of the specific risks in those countries. Now let's go look at a couple of examples of specific countries. So the first one, I thought it would be fun to look at Cuba, because Canadians are allowed to go to Cuba for tourism and Americans aren't. So let's click on the the Canadian website for Cuba, and the overall rating for Cuba is exercise a high degree of caution, the yellow rating, or number 2. You can come down, you can get more specific information on different areas of what types of crimes, what areas you might see that type of crime, and different travelers may have different information based on your demographics or what type of traveler you are. Now let's go to the Secretary of State as well. Let's go back one. Let's get to where I plug in my country. Let's go to Cuba. Again, I was expecting a different rating, but lo and behold, it's still that level 2 yellow rating, just exercise increased caution. Now, quick facts on here, you get different information. So Americans, you need to be paying attention to this because tourist visa required. Yes, travel to Cuba for tourist activities remains prohibited by statute. It's got the link. You can research those. I'm just going to tell you I've looked at them. It's pretty darn hard to get an exemption to travel to Cuba as a tourist. Okay. Going back to the Canadian website, let's try one more. Let's go to Jamaica. I went to Jamaica. I've got family that is Jamaican, and the Canadian website. Again, the second level, yellow, exercise high degree of caution. We go to the Secretary of State. Let's go back one. Let's type in Jamaica man. And what do we get? Oh my goodness, I thought Cuba would give me different results. Jamaica gives me different results. The Secretary of State for the US website actually has this as a reconsidered travel. It's a popular winter travel destination. I just went there this year. There is definitely more information when you get these ratings. You want to research further and figure out what types of crimes or safety issues you might run into, as well as more localized. Now, we're not going to get into all of that. We're keeping this at a very high level. So the last thing I want to show you, sometimes you drill down further on the maps. Let's go to Mexico. This is the U.S. website, Secretary of State. You'll see you don't get an overall summary, but you get state summaries. So if I go here, there is a map. You click it, enlarge. I've already done that. And you can get a map and a visual representation of what parts of Mexico are the safest. You will see over here, Baja is relatively safe in most people's opinions. It is still the second level in yellow. If you scroll into the Yucatan Peninsula here, the north part in west part of the peninsula is actually the highest rating and is considered safe. The Cancun area is actually still yellow. So take a look, be very cognizant of your safety risks out there. Use these resources. Please, please, please don't limit yourself to just your own country's website. I'm sure there's even more countries. Europe probably has similar tools. We focus on Canada and America here, so we're sticking to these tools. But absolutely don't hesitate to use more tools out there if you want. Until next time, be safe out there and take care of each other. Bye.